So the last couple of weeks have been lots of updates in the core. The biggest one of which is probably the new UI update. We had to change the way the UI worked. There was a lot of feedback from the old one in that the UX was almost right, but there was a couple of things that needed to change. But the new one kind of made way for the things that we wanted to add. Like, for example, we now have the built-in apps, which basically is just the model, and similar to V1, where you just click on add and you can click to add a model, and you can add audio, and you can add video, and you can add images, and we'll keep expanding that to a couple of other things. So I think audio is actually not in there yet, but we'll add stuff like the screen sharing and a couple of other things like skyboxes and that you can flip through and things like that. So basically, you don't need to know how to code, and you also don't know how to do 3D design and stuff like that for all of the basic functionality that you'd need in a world. So that is being built in a way that will allow us to, we're calling them collections, so app collections, and right now it's just the built-in one. But the idea is that in the future there'll be this ability to swap that out easily, and if someone sends you a whole collection of apps, that you can just kind of drop that in there. So I'm not really sure exactly what that's going to look like, but the idea is to have multiple collections. There's been a couple of things happening. I think general in the engine generally, there's just been a few improvements to the way things work. So there are a few scenarios with different 3D models that weren't working with collision. Those have been improved. I think there was an issue with Vipe rooms and the way that they were made, because I think they were scripted. And so just a lot more solidity type improvements to the core, just off the top of my head. And there's a pending release. So all of these things that have come out in the last week or so, I need to push out a new release for that. I think a lot of people are already running dev worlds anyway, so they probably already got them. But for everyone else, I'll get a release out today or tomorrow for that. Just trying to find my notes here. A couple other things happening. So I'm working on the background with someone, and I don't know if they actually wanted to be known that they were working on this, so I won't mention who. But we're working on vehicles. The idea is we're using this as kind of it's a bit of an ambitious first step, but perhaps maybe a little bit of scope creep on what we're trying to do with it. But we do have working vehicles, and they work similar to GTA 5. I almost said GTA 6 because I watched the release video for that yesterday, which looks amazing, by the way. I want more gameplay videos for that thing. It's freaking cool. So the vehicles, they do work a lot like GTA 5, and I've had to figure out how to tune them a bit to get the concept of drifting, so we can actually do some drift racing and things like that. So I've got someone working on the 3D models for that, and they're looking really cool, and I think they'll be really good. But anyway, there's a thing that we want to do there where we're going to give them out to hyper holders in one way or another. There's a few ways that we could do that. We're still trying to figure that out. It's going to be a generative collection, so probably thousands of them, different versions of a car, and they're muscle cars. I don't know, it'd be super cool. And the idea is that if you own them, that people can build race worlds, and you'll be able to do them. I think I've spoken about this before, which is basically having this concept of signing apps as a publisher or a creator, and then world owners being able to say, you can drop this car into your world and drive around in it, and then it will disappear when you leave the world. And that's kind of open up this huge, all these new things that you can do that you just haven't been able to do in any other kind of platform ever before. I think it'd be really cool that if someone builds a race world, they can be like, yeah, those cars can be here. And anyone can just show up, drop the car down and start racing around in it. Yeah. And what else is happening? Okay, so platform is back on. The reason that was blocked for a bit, transparency on what happened with Sari. I don't really know. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really know exactly what happened there. I think he just crashed out. Me and Sari always had an interesting relationship where, and it was also like a good thing and a bad thing, where we had a lot of differing opinions, but that actually managed to get us V1, if you know what I mean. So like, it's that back and forth. I never really like. It's hard to explain. When two people are like completely in the same vision, I think they just build themselves up and it can go off in like weird directions. But when you actually have two people who like challenge each other, then I think you arrive at better decisions and better things, which is why I really like Sari for what we do. But I think at the same time, it can also be really extremely stressful. And in the last couple of days, I think it just got too much. And he's been working on a lot of things that a lot of people probably don't realize. He was building a first-person shooter and actually got pretty far with that. And I think I'm not entirely sure why that never got fully shipped, and I think he's taken it down. I don't really know what's going on. I haven't spoken to him. I'm currently talking to him through somebody else who knows him and still has contact with him, but he's basically just crashed out and left the Discord and stuff. I think I saw a few people who were talking about like what risks that is, and there's no major risks. I think he took down the doc site, but I think that was actually somewhat unintentional. I think what actually happened was he has just gone to like shut down all his accounts and create a new alt or something. I don't even know. Like, the weird things of being a pseudo-anonymous person online is that you can just shut it down and become somebody else again. It's interesting. Anyway, yeah, that's all I really have to say for that. Yeah, so platform is back on. The reason that was paused for a bit was, one, because we wanted to work on the core engine. There's still things that needed to happen there. And I felt that we kind of left creators in the dust, where we basically let devs have this amazing engine. They could build anything, but people who were 3D designers couldn't really do much in the platform yet without needing to code. And so things needed to happen there. But another reason was because there were a couple of directions that we can take the platform. There's nobody out there that's doing anything quite like what we're trying to do with Hyperfy. So it's not like a trail that has been trodden before. And so it's not entirely clear which way to go in certain things. And if there's anything that I learned from V1, it's that making those decisions can break you if you take the wrong direction. And so when I got to a crossroads for platform, like, there's so many different ways that we could do this, where we could create, because we have this concept of like fully self-hosted worlds, we could have this concept where you go to somebody's self-hosted world, and inside that world we basically have like an official platform pop up inside that world. So I would go to raston.xyz, and then I would click a button, like a Hyperfy button, and get like a connect button and doing all of that kind of stuff. But then the other direction was that we actually just have one like entry point for the platform, which is like Hyperfy.xyz. And inside there, you would see a list of worlds similar to V1. And I think that's the direction that we're going to go with now. So basically, you're going to have Hyperfy.xyz, which is essentially like a glue that brings all of these fully decentralized and fully owned worlds, like third-party owned worlds, together. It means that if you don't want to, it's kind of like an opt-in as well. So we're building this core engine. It's completely free. It's completely open source. You can self-host it. You don't even have to have anything to do with the platform. You can just go and create a world, rebrand it, do whatever you want. That's cool. Have fun. But one of the things that we can do, like by having a central platform that has all of these worlds in it, and essentially it's just, if anyone's a dev, like it's embedding the worlds through an iframe inside the same platform. So you can keep it self-hosted on your own domains, but you can also have it show up in the platform. And by doing that, we can actually almost create like an overlay for worlds, which will provide the identity so that you can log into Hyperfy.xyz, set your name and your avatar, and then every time that you go to a world there, you will take your avatar and your name with you. Shard your worlds. Yeah. And not only that, but we can also do things like managing crypto wallet connections, transactions, auth, like proper auth, and also your NFTs, like digital items that you've gotten through worlds. And how will Wallet Connect work in iframe? So it won't, and this is one of the issues. So like Solana, for example, will allow you to put Connect outside of an iframe, but not inside of an iframe. So you have to be the top level to do Solana Connect, which is actually supposed to be a security issue, but I don't think there's any security issues with the way that we were planning on using it. But yeah, it can't be done. In the inverse of that is like Ethereum actually does allow you to do it through an iframe, which is kind of funny because Solana is saying it's a security issue, but Ethereum's like, no, it's cool. Yeah. But the benefits are that we can let you connect and we can manage all of that stuff for you. So actually, you will be able to self-host the world, and you won't have to worry about anything to do with wallets. You won't have to worry about anything to do with voice chat, because we are essentially an overlay that's going to handle all of that for you. So you'll get voice chat on your world for free. You'll get all of the Wallet Connect stuff that you need to do transactions, authentication, like storage of thousands of people's avatars. We'll just kind of take care of all of that for you, and you don't even need to think about it. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of doing it as an overlay, is that we don't have to like put the burden of all this technology on you. I mean, it's optional. You can, if you want to self-host and completely be off the platform, you can still have your voice chat. You can still have Solana. We've got a Solana branch, probably be using a lot of the exact same code on the platform, and voice chat persists through worlds. So yeah, this is one of the things. So in the platform, we can actually have like friends lists and be able to see which worlds people are in, favorite worlds, and see how many people are in worlds and that kind of stuff. And we'll also be able to do like private rooms for like voice chat and stuff like that as well. So you could specifically have just a general voice chat, even like for Hyperfy platform. I don't know if that's like, that sounds terrible, but we could do, one-on-one voice chats if you wanted to, if you just wanted to quickly voice chat a friend or create like a private group or something like that. Crypto custodian, new generation trusted owner. What is that? I'm not sure what that is. Onize. Nice. But yeah, I'm really excited about doing minimus audio issues. I'm really excited about the digital items front of that. So if any of you are familiar with the with like Zora, and man, it's been a minute since I've been in the Ethereum ecosystem, so I'm forgetting the name of them. Manifold? Is it Manifold or anyway, there's a bunch of platforms like that let you just create NFTs really quickly and easily, and they focus on PFPs basically. And some of them support GLBs. And I think even in Manifold, if you know how to hack the system, you can do like VRM avatar collections as well. But I think one of the things that we can do since we're kind of like tackling all of the metaverse related stuff like avatars, digital items, and anything and everything in between, is that we can actually build something on the platform that lets people easily create these collections of digital items, like fully interactive digital items through hypes. And we can also do avatars and things like that as well. The end goal is that people will be able to create these things and offer them in their world. So I could build this little game, like let's just say somebody builds a parkour game, and basically you just have to beat a timer to get to the end. And if you beat that timer, then the world can offer you a free NFT, like digital item. I'm trying to think of something that's on brand with a parkour. I don't know, like jumping boots or something like that. I don't know. And then the world can just offer you that, and then you get this digital item that you can then keep and do whatever you want. And since we're building this completely open source, and since like you can self-host worlds and all of that kind of stuff, I think this is like one of the first times where you can own a digital item that actually has logic and rules and interactivity that could potentially outlive its own platform. So if Hyperfy, God forbid, if anything were to happen, then you would still have that digital item. You'd be able to keep it and use it and self-host it on your own worlds and still use them. And obviously, you still have this concept of like digital items being able to travel across worlds. Yeah, and that's the concept of the cars as well. It's like you will go into a world and you'll play this game, and if you win or you get like a good score or you complete the quest or any manner of like achievement style things that you want, you would get this NFT of a car. That would go into your vault in the Hyperfy platform as an NFT, and it will also be in your wallets and outside the platform as well. And then you would be able to go into some other world that's completely like unlinked from that whole experience, and that would allow you to use that car in that world. So, including off platform. So it wouldn't even have to be a world that's on the platform. It could be a world anywhere. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. I feel like it's still hard to explain, and that a lot of people maybe kind of get what I'm saying. But I think the best way to show that is just by doing it, and that's what we're doing right now. Just focusing on platform side.
And Ash, are you able to hear me now?
Whoa, he's back.
Yes. Wow, took me a while, but I figured it out. Hey there. So, just my too many microphones attached to my computer, probably. And so, Ash, on the concept of outliving the platform as it relates to the apps being in your digital wallet, when you say like outliving, is that basically because the hype code is inside of that digital asset, and any engine, any Hyperfy engine world can interpret that hype code and turn it into an interactive object in that world?
Yeah, exactly. So all of that's the thing about like these hype things. It's hard to see from as an outsider looking at what we're doing. They might not quite get that. But like, yeah, the hype apps include all of the logic that is specific to just that digital item. And all that needs is just a world to run it in. Yeah.
Cool. And then did we have a question from Yannikis on that? Let's see if I'm catching up now on the chat here. Let's see if there's anything to call out. Some note about agents telephony integration. So Umka, if you could give us some ideas on what you're looking to do there. Let's see. Generative script of highlight would be fun to play with hype collectibles. So let's see. Oh, just waving.
I invited him to speak. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, it's all right. No, it's all good. And so the platform becomes a layer. Is it almost like that UI stuff I saw from I think it was Crew that was playing around with the IDE, integrated development environment, like view, where the world becomes a window and you have a bunch of menus outside to control the world. Is it to that level, or are you saying it's like an overlay, like an infrastructure on the back end of a Hyperfy world.
The platform as an overlay, is that what you mean?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's going to be relatively simple, I think, to begin with, at least, in that it will essentially just put a little Hyperfy logo at the top left of your screen, and you'll probably land in a home world. So rather than having a 2D list of worlds, I think just to begin with, we'll create a 3D world that you land in. That way, because you just kind of give someone an instant like place to hang out in a world that's, you know, should be supported on mobile and VR. You'll be able to jump in voice chat and just hang out with people, and maybe we'll start putting some portals in there to different worlds. But yeah, it's kind of like it's like Steam overlay. If you've ever played a game on Steam, when you click a button, you get the overlay, where you got your friends, and like you can add and remove friends and like see what worlds they're in, or teleport to their like portal to their worlds. Check out the things that you've got in your vault, swap your avatar, you set your name and whatever, and then you close that and you're back in the world, and those things are updated. And we'll just try to keep it so that it's like, I don't know. So there's a good separation there where the world handles all of the world stuff, but then anything related to like identity and communications and socials and stuff like that is just in an overlay, essentially.
Oh, I see. And then that hooks into the rest of the platform on the back end. Okay.
Yeah. So if you were to jump to a different world, then it would load that. It would swap out the iframe for another one pointing to the new world. And then just as that world loads, it'll inject your name and your avatar, and any other information into there. And so it would load, you would keep your avatar. So then you end up with this like, we can actually have this fully decentralized metaverse thing that people have been talking about, where you completely own these separately hosted worlds, but the identity, your avatar, and your name and stuff like that traverses with it. And there's kind of like, it's like all interconnected.
So now you're getting to the inception zone. You're saying the platform would be something that can be cloned. I may have missed it as I was fixing my audio, but are you saying that somebody could take the platform code, platform world overlay, and use that to construct their own series of worlds that are interconnected?
Yeah, I think I will absolutely be opening sourcing, like making that open source. It's weird because it's like, do you want people to compete in that? It's like, what benefit does that actually give the ecosystem? I think open sourcing world makes sense because we want people to be able to see the source. We want people to be able to fix like any issues, highlight issues, security audits, and allow people to actually have the ability to make improvements and feed them back to us. But the platform would mean that it gives people the ability to fragment the system. But at the same time, I don't really care. I think the official one would probably overrule and become the default more than anything anyway. I think it's more about being transparent. And just going back to that whole concept of like, if anything were to happen to Hyperfy, that people could spin up their own versions. So yeah, I'd probably make that completely open source as well. Why not?
Yeah, I agree. Once it's established, refined in terms of this is the way that you want the overlay to kind of interact with worlds, and then you could open it up much further. But I do agree that it's trying to figure out the right balance of control from the platform world versus the the target worlds that you're opening up, and kind of trying to figure out what type of intricacies might happen once you start having that. It's basically a world within a world. It almost seems like it's a complex system to hash out.
The overall idea is actually it's quite simple, and just over the last couple of days, I'm tinkering at the moment, like trying to make sure that I have all the right pieces in the right place. But yeah, I think ultimately it's going to happen pretty quick. I'm hoping. It doesn't seem extremely complicated. I think the hardest part is going to be the digital items and setting up all of the like the way that we do NFTs and issuing NFT tokens, because you can't just have like an open free mint where it's like, here's the supply, you can just go and mint them. Some things will be like that, but a lot of times people will want to gate those NFTs where like you can only get them if you complete this quest, or if the world kind of issues a token to get them in any way.
And Pablo mentions on the technical side, it is workable, but there's also the legal frameworks that you have to also consider when it comes to opening sites and passing authentication identity around. So, but I guess that's for the legal folks to figure out. We're just hackers. We're creating stuff, and
there's a few things. So like one of the reasons that we're doing it like this is because of the browsers having stricter concept around third-party cookies and stuff like that. But the idea of like iframe intercommunication is you can send events between worlds and the platform through the iframe. And in terms of like legal issues, it's not really, because it's like it's a handshake. It's like I can send an event to that world, and if that world wants to respond, then they can. So if you want to, you could disable that concept of a platform. If you want to self-host the world but you don't want it to work on the platform, first, don't submit it to the platform. But second, you can turn it off so that it's not allowed to be embedded in anything.
And you mentioned
and we'll try to make that easy.
For the target worlds, it's opt-in. For when they create a world, they can say yes, enable a connection with the platform world.
Yeah, how we do that, I'm not really sure. It could be as simple as like we just have a whitelist on the platform that says like only list. Here's a list of worlds, right? And we just update that as people want to add them to them. The other thing is like we could have this concept of just spin up your world, and your world will notify the platform and say, I'm here. And you could turn that off if you wanted to. That's probably a better option because it's automatic discovery. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm interested to hear from the community what your guys' perspective is on the automatic discovery. I know there's some discussion. Yeah, and
Be a
do
beacon.
you want a world? Yeah, and maybe you know what? It could be a production. It could be setting it where if you're pulling dev, it doesn't do it. If you're pulling main, then it comes enabled. Maybe. Yeah. Rostan says better to opt in.
Yeah, a lot of people are just going to want to self-host. I think, yeah, for sure. And the other thing is that we don't want like, I think I'm going to assume that a lot of people don't want their like quit playing around temporary worlds to show up on a platform where people show up and they jump into a world and it has like a couch on it and that's it. It's just like a couch and a big large green field. It's like not providing any value to anyone, and you just kind of wasted their time.
Yeah, and do we? I know we kind of avoid trying to ranking and rating worlds and things like that in a way, but what do you foresee for this platform to do in terms of identifying? Oh, this world is good for mobile, good for VR, requires desktop. Do you see that also being integrated into the platform, or are we kind of still facing where worlds just should be automatically optimized for one thing for mobile and just warn people before people like stumble into it?
Yeah, it's tough to completely. It's tough to, I guess, what's the word? Infer whether a world is ready for mobile or not, because it always depends on so many things. So I think it's probably going to be like a self tag where you go like, I want to list this on my world on a platform, and I've tested this and it works like really well on VR. It works really well on mobile and desktop, and so it'll show up with like tags like that on the platform. V1 had this. The V1 had the worst problem where there were a lot of worlds that did work in VR and mobile, but there were also a significantly larger amount that didn't. And so whenever you wanted to test, like play around, like what's Hyperfy like on mobile? What's Hyperfy like on VR that you were more likely to hit a world that would be like way overkill for VR and just would be a terrible experience. So I definitely want to fix that in V2, where it's like if I'm on a headset, it should show tags for VR worlds by default. And if I'm on mobile, it should show those worlds by default. And not locked to those, but just kind of like pre-filtered. So if you wanted to, you could remove that filter and look at the other ones if you wanted to.
Yeah, I definitely think that we need those types of little quality of life things. I'm curious what others think as it relates to supporting mobile, or supporting the different types of experiences that would be accessible.
Yeah. There's lots of little things like that. I think, yeah, in terms of like UX as well. The other thing I was thinking, like somewhat related to that, I was thinking it'd be really cool to show like what device, like next to your name tag in a world, you should be able to see if somebody's in VR or if somebody is on mobile. It's just like contextual awareness. You just have like a little icon next to your name or something of a mobile phone or a VR headset or a screen for desktop. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I that would be maybe. Yeah, I'm curious. Like, how would you? Is that something that's available from the device that tells you like what type of browser agent or device that
Yeah.
it's connected? Okay.
Yeah, mobile is actually a weird one because it's actually more like a touch device. So we know that whether they're on a non-touch device, a touch device, or a VR headset. And a VR headset is also a touch device because you touch the screen to walk around. It's got those kind of controls. Um, yeah. So we just assume mobile is a touch device, but that also includes things like iPads.
All right. Any questions from the group here, community on the platform itself? And then you're probably going to get this question, so I'll just ask it. So when is this dropping for us, Ash? Give us the
It's still
development.
it's still a work in progress, and I was hesitant to even mention it because I it's same with the cars as well. It's like I need to keep people updated, but also I love this concept of like under promising and over delivering because when it happens, people are like, wow. um, but yeah, I think the platform. I think the direction of platform is now extremely clear, and there's less questions around how we want to handle that. So um, that's all I can really say is that. That's the direction we want to go, and that's what we're building. Which then kind of unlocks that concept of people asking for roadmaps, where I think the roadmap is now a lot clearer on how we're going to handle the future of everything. And we just kind of move towards this future where we have a platform. It's still completely fully decentralized. That doesn't mean we can't offer things like world hosting and stuff like that ourselves. But it's just not important right now. And we already have hyperworld.host. Is that the most recent name? I forget.
Hyperworld, yeah.
Which works great. And if anyone like wants to get down and dirty, they can use things like fly.io to get a world up in like 5-10 minutes anyway. And those both of those options are completely fine and simple for people to just kind of like get a world up and running. And like the benefit is that they get to own it and have more control over their worlds and rely less on us, which feels slightly counterintuitive and weird, but like I think that's just like the overall thing is having full ownership and yeah.
And yeah, just that's a good kind of call out, a reminder about that we do have a new URL for the documentation.
Yeah.
And thank you, Omka, for helping get this moved over, and Ash for helping jumping in and get this loaded onto the official hyperfy.xyz. And in here, you'll see the hosting stuff. Let me see if I can pull it real quickly. V2 hosting, and so you'll find a couple options here. Self-hosting. This is where you mentioned the Fly.io, just so, and then the hosting providers as well. And so, good reminder on that front. Thank you. And then I guess kind of another way to ask that same question. Sorry, Ash, I'm one of those product manager, product lead during my day Web 2 life, and so I always ask, like, what are things that we got the UI updates. I don't know if those are going to require massive retro like work for others to do, but very curious, if, is that going to take up the next few weeks of attention? What else do you anticipate kind of coming up that we would have to focus on? I know a couple weeks back we were looking at the palette and providing that type of stuff. What else do you foresee that we have to work on before we can get through that platform work?
I think everything that we need for the platform is there. I'm gonna be like I'm splitting my focus right now because there are a couple of things that I still want to be doing. Obviously trying to get this car thing working, but also thinking about the distribution of that and how that works. I need to think about how these NFTs are going to be, how they're going to work, which I think right now the idea is that they'll get uploaded to Arweave so that they're permanent, but also maybe centralized so that you can still upload new versions as they change. Or if you find a bug, you can upgrade a new version. There's all like lots of questions around how to do that. The apps, the built-in app palette collection things, I'm calling them collections rather than palettes, but which is weird because it's counterintuitive to an NFT collection. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep on working with those because I know that there's some things like audio that is missing. Omka raised a bug about the direction of placing those objects. There's just lots of things that we can add to that, and then also thinking about how to do the logic for those things as well. How to make apps more logical and yeah. What is that?
When you say logic, yeah, somebody's flying around in a Nighthawk in a drunk manner. When you say logical, are you saying beyond the hype script, the hype code that's inside of
Yeah,
apps?
so we want everyone to be able to build like little mini games and stuff like you could in V1, right? So you could do
No.
quest lines and stuff in V1.
Yeah.
We want people to be able to do that without needing to code. I mean, we got to the point where like AI can actually do a lot of this stuff for you, but it still requires a bit of effort. And I think that we can simplify that and create like UI to do it, basically.
Yeah, and that would be would that be working with um like the hype package mod framework, or is that something that you would build we would see being built as part of core?
Yeah, I think it should be something in the core. Like, if you remember in V1, if you had like a thing that was like, you would be able to select what happens next. And you could select multiple things. You could be like, emit this event, switch this flag, open a link in a new tab, hide this object, whatever, wait 3 seconds and then do other things. And you could just kind of keep adding to that list. I really like that simplicity because people just kind of figured out how to do all sorts of things. Like Hyro P built like this huge like world with lots of different rooms and like a DJ thing. And like the sky changed and all that kind of stuff. He just did that with some really simple action lists.
Yeah.
I think we're
Those would
calling
be
signals and something like that. Yeah.
and triggers, yeah, and signals and triggers maybe.
Yeah.
And would that be in conjunction with the block stuff? That would be like a layer on top of the app blocks, right? The building block concept.
Yeah, that would probably just be built into that as some kind of like property.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah. And so
then
people would be able to make their own apps that have those kinds of things built into them as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then going back very quickly on the digital, at least this is my perspective on the NFT stuff. It's I consider it one like pointer to an object to a and this I guess you could can verify if this is possible, but to upload new versions, wouldn't you just have a version stored inside, and you would just keep update, like have different versions inside of that digital asset. So the digital asset is a overall concept of this vehicle app, but when you do a version of it, you're gonna just keep adding to the end of that. Hey, this is version 2, and then you let the target system figure out, okay, is this a base version to load, or is this version 2 of that digital asset? And from my perspective, I feel like if that's the concept to support for hyper worlds to read a digital asset and read what versions are available, and then let either the world or user decide which version to load into the world.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I think I don't have any answers for that yet, but I think
Yeah.
it makes a lot of sense. It's just a bit, yeah. You're saying to make to let worlds just know what the versions are available and perhaps be able to switch between them.
Yeah, like you
That
have your
sounds good to me.
default, yeah, default version, and then you have the historical trace of them. Now, this is assuming you could update the. I know with blockchain could be tough for your not blockchain, but the AR weave or whatever, that they limit maybe how much times you could edit or modify an object. But ideally, that's the way you control it, and then you don't have an external platform that's dictating what version or what versions are out there and need to be used.
Yeah, and well, what they get pulled into your world, so they get copied. Like if you go and add an object to your world, it's not going to use the Arweave link. It'll probably just copy the latest version that's available there and put it in your world. And so if you publish a new version, it's almost like the metadata would just change to point to a new version. But it could potentially. I'm not actually sure about Solana and whether you can look at previous metadata. Like I know that you create a new transaction to change the metadata URI. So I'm not sure if you'd even be able to look at previous versions and find the Arweave links to the previous versions of those apps. But they would get copied into the world. So that way, if you did publishing a new version of your app, you wouldn't indirectly be manually changing everyone's world.
Right. It would almost become an option for them to pull the right.
Yeah, it's a pull option. Yeah, I think we sort of had that concept in V1 where it's like if it works, just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah. One other thing. I know we didn't go through the highlights. We spent probably half the time fighting audio. We will eventually get in-world audio working perfectly with no echo. And then, yeah, but you guys can check out the announcements. I highlighted a couple cool things people are working on. I did want to forward this about from Crew that he was working on this kind of concept of a power editor. I think that type of stuff is going to be we're going to see a lot of stuff and interest in that as more people come in and want to build in world. The different experiences are going to be interesting to see how that develops further along with the core UI updates. Ash, was there anything else you wanted? So we talked about the vehicle type project that's kind of under wraps for now. It'll be dropped and will be some sort of collectible interactive piece that plays with the platform. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on, maybe as a takeaway for the team, for the group here, things that you'd like us to kind of look at or kind of test?
Nothing specific. Like I've got my hands in like a million different buckets, Hyperfy buckets, and yeah, just kind of like floating around. I just want to say thanks to people like Rustin who DM me with any like random little things that happen in worlds that they need fixing, and like thanks to him, we fixed like a good collision. There was a collision bug with a lot of different types of models and stuff like that. So just like feedback's always good. It helps solve things. I think a lot of people kind of will find an issue and just move on with their life, but I think like making that obvious and getting it fixed is super important. So I love feedback like that.
Yeah, I did notice that issues chat got some attention over the last week or so. I know a couple people have posted there. So Yep.
Yeah.
We need you to grow
And
more arms so your arms can go into all the hyper buckets out there.
yeah, it's just it's little things like that. I think Omka pointed out like a thing where when you're adding an image from the new collections thing, that it's always oriented one direction. It doesn't actually turn to face the way that you're turning. So if you're looking like backwards on the Z axis, then you place an image, then the image will be flipped and it'll be in reverse when you go to set it. So it's little things like that where I'm like, a bunch of you are using this, but apparently Omka's the only one that wanted to let me know about it. So like,
He's probably the one breaking it.
Yeah, yeah.
He's the one on the edge. He's trying to push the system to the max. And that also, oh man, I had a good concept here. Oh, I know we're a little bit over time here, but I did want to touch upon this AI agent thing. I believe you mentioned that the AI agent kind of the prototypes that we were seeing from the Eliza OS group there, did that influence the changes on the UI, or is that two separate things that are going on that they're prototyping agents in world?
Yeah, so
UI changes. Do you have to coordinate?
that kind of came from left field. So just Shaw decided that he was going to start hacking around in Hyperfy, and we already had agents in Hyperfy, but they were more like, and as he calls them, he's like, it's more like NPCs where you drop a hype app into your world, and then the agent can do whatever it needs. And like, he made a really good point in that. And we've talked about this before, but agents having the idea that they can jump into any world that they want without needing to be an app, and for the creator of that world to drop it in the world. And so Shaw basically made a PR that made the world run as a client on the server, if that makes sense. It's basically a headless client, but it means that things like Eliza OS can simulate worlds themselves and choose which worlds to connect to at any point. And so, there was a little bit of a collab there where he basically brought that to light, showed how it was done, and then I kind of like massaged that into the system and got that working the way that it needs to. Yeah, he created a 3D. Yep, he created like an Eliza OS starter with Hyperfy integration. And it's pretty cool. So they can, the basic idea is that you could be talking to an agent on Twitter and be like, hey dude, come check out my Hyperfy world, and give it a link to your Hyperfy world, and it can choose whether it wants to connect to that, and it can set its own avatar, and if your world allows it, and its name, and then jump into your world, and then when it's in there, it can like have the awareness of what's going on around it, and run around and do all that kind of stuff. There's still a lot to do there, but like it's entirely possible now. Like it's all the pieces are there. I think there's just lots of little things that need to be improved and handled. But I think he even had at some point in one of his it was cool watching him cook. So even I think I didn't catch the stream, but I saw somebody talking about how he had voice chat and stuff working in there as well. So it was fully connecting to a world and using the voice chat in the world. It's crazy cool. Eventually we'll have them jumping into worlds and playing games and doing stuff like that. Very cool.
And mining hyper from the fallen world, yeah.
Imagine an army of agents that just go and mine hyper for you. or go fishing.
Exactly. It goes back to that. I think a concept a couple weeks or months back, we were talking about, how cool it would be to hide, the stuff inside of worlds, just like go around spreading either hyper or gems or, whatever in the worlds, and just kind of throw them into the world, random worlds. I think that platform will allow that type of stuff because it'll be able to kind of interact and kind of push things into the worlds or connect and allow people to like accept hype delivery, hype reward delivery stuff. And I think agents will play a nice kind of story part of that to be able to enable showing how that process works. So yeah, very very
sure.
neat stuff that we got going on there. I know we're at time, guys. I want to respect everybody's time. Let people get back to hyping, and resting.
I'm super excited for the platform. I'm like ultra excited for the platform because I think that we can create like this thing where creators and players can have fun, but also there's like economic value on both sides. And creators can get rewarded for like creating extremely high quality things that they're already been creating for free and giving away for free, and they can create like economic incentives. But on the flip side of that, players that want to play games and have fun can do that, and in a platform that's completely open, and then the digital items that they collect, they actually get to keep forever and use whenever and wherever they want, which is kind of like world first.
Yeah, true digital assets, things that people can own and use, not just look at.
Yeah, it's not just a JPEG. People can still right-click save though.
if the right click is enabled,
Yeah,
we can disable the right click, right?
we could. That will never stop people.
They'll find a way. They're gonna hack
always
the
a way.
browser to get access to that JavaScript or whatever it is, to emulate or simulate it, copy it. So, alrighty, folks.
Yeah. I haven't spoken much about like digital rights and stuff, but it never works.
Yeah, there's always a way to get to it, anyways. Alrighty. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate your patience with my audio issue, and that resulted in a bunch of domino effects for everybody's audio issue. Appreciate your patience sticking around. Thanks, Ash, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. See you later.